Artificial intelligence is about to disrupt major parts of the creative industry, from visual arts to graphic design to storyboarding to filmmaking. Welcome everybody to the first episode of the brand new Out of the Box talk here at mediaBOX TV. 3 months ago, we started a project to research, evaluate and finally integrate artificial intelligence workflows here into our company. You probably have noticed the hype around all the new possibilities, and right so. For the first episode, I've had a talk with Brian Jin. Brian leads the project here at mediaBOX. As AI is such a large topic, and even our small project here at mediaBOX has unfolded to be quite complex, we have split the talk into 3 parts. In the first part, we talk about what the project is all about, why a video production company like ours with corporate customers needs to work with AI, and how Brian had to find ways to get code to work that's often just a few days old. Brian, please introduce yourself and line out what is the scope of the project as you see it.
Okay, so hi everybody, my name is Brian, and so from my perspective, this whole project is all about finding out how AI can be utilized in a creative company like this. And so there was roughly 3 sort of stages lining up with also the 3 months that this project is going on for. So at the beginning, I think it's important to find out what this company is all about, especially for me coming into this company as freshly. And I need to know what this company does, which ranges all the way from very creative writing tasks, storyboarding, but also goes deep into more tech-oriented tasks like ingesting videos, data management, and all that sort of stuff. And also I needed to find out also what is out there in terms of AI and how could that be utilized, which involved a lot of researching what sort of models out there, like cutting-edge models from large language models, ranging all the way to more traditional computer vision stuff like face recognition, face detection, and also classification of images and videos and that sort of stuff. So that was the first phase, finding out what there is. Second phase was sort of testing out stuff to find some proofs of concepts, to maybe have some initial workflows and pipelines. And then the final phase where we are at right now is to sort of synthesize and close out this initial project so that we can sort of scope out how we should continue to find the most promising projects to continue with, because definitely the topic of AI is not something you can cover in 3 months.
You have a little bit of background with artificial intelligence and working with models. What was the biggest challenge, so to say, in this first phase when you started to work on the project?
I studied business administrations, but I got into this field sort of by accident. I was always close to tech, and I sort of just stumbled into this. So in past jobs, I worked more with language, actually, whereas obviously here at the Creative Studio, we work more with images and videos. So getting to know the sort of video and image landscape was definitely a challenge for me, especially in terms of coding as well. There was, I guess I did slightly underestimate the difficulty that comes with handling large amounts of data and working with sort of video models and all that.
A lot of people right now think there's all these new tools and they enable you to create images from text. Now it's possible to create video from text. And it all looks very simple. And when you watch YouTube videos, it all looks like flashy and new and shiny. How would you explain the difficulty of it all?
The metaphor I would draw is that this is currently the Wild West. And all that stuff is very new. It's very fresh. It is fresh off the works from researchers and all that. It is not yet really integrated into work, obviously, because a lot of this stuff is just at most half a year old, if only just a week. There are some models that I tried out which just literally came out the day before, and then the day after I tried to work with this. There's zero documentation, there's nothing. There's just some lines of code somewhere on GitHub that someone uploaded, and I downloaded it, I look into it, and then I have to figure out what exactly is going on where. There's no help anywhere, and trying to tinker around and finding out how that stuff works is certainly a challenge. It is not it's not something that you just take out of a box and make work. There is a lot of, it's definitely for a tinkering job. Yeah.
How would you describe the difference between using the stuff that you work with compared to the platforms that are out there selling the products like Runway Gen 2 or stuff like that?
I think so. So the clear difference is that currently, and what's also running here in the background, is open source code, which is just generated by pretty much just a community of tinkerers out there without much monetary incentive or anything. And so the focus here is progress in this field. Whereas I guess if you compare to obviously big studios like Runway or OpenAI and DeepMind and whatever, they clearly have much more of a monetary incentive. So they would like to have products that are easy to use, or at least easy enough to use so that you can reach a larger audience, for example.
What do you think? What benefits can a company like we are take from tinkering with stuff like that instead of experimenting more with the platform solutions?
I think the most important aspect is learning, right? There is pretty predictably going to be change in the entire creative industry. And so obviously the whole platform stuff, that is going to be released gradually and slowly as stuff gets ready for the general public. Whereas the open source stuff is just released before there's even a proper working beta. It's released just whenever anyone writes some code, you can find it. And so this gives you sort of a head start, I guess, to start tinkering with those stuff, to experiment. It's not going to be, most of the time at least, it's not going to be something that you can immediately make work in a product. Say if a company knocks at our door and says, we want something that has AI in it and it needs to be perfect and polished, that's probably not going to happen with any of this very much cutting edge alpha stuff. That is probably not going to be happening because there's a lot of bugs and it's just hard to work with. But by working with that sort of stuff ahead of time, you can get used to it. You can learn how this stuff works and then slowly integrate it into the sort of more fleshed out products that will come out in the future. That way you can be prepared for the future, yeah.
And that's basically what this project is all about,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, accumulating knowledge to future-proof the company for the AI age to come, basically.
Also, quite frankly, it's kind of fun to just work with that stuff. I'm enjoying this. Like it's sometimes frustrating because nothing is working, but when it does work, it is just interesting to see what you can do with like the new technologies, right? This is something that you couldn't do half a year ago. You're just able to do this now.
Thanks for watching, and check out the upcoming episodes where Brian talks about how to combine existing tools to add metadata to footage and why every creative is already affected by artificial intelligence.